Bolsonaro was sentenced to 27 years in prison for arranging a January 6th-style riot at the Capitol to try to stay in power after he lost his campaign for re-election.
For efforts to overturn a free and fair election through a military coup plot, which included a plot to assassinate now President Lula. Much more serious in all of those charges than what we saw in the United States on January 6th. But the January 8th events in Brazil are similar in one fundamental way. And that is that your response to how you feel about this verdict and whether or not Bolsonaro should see jail time is almost completely determined about how you feel politically about Bolsonaro and about Lula. Are you on the right? Are you on the left? And who do you like? It has nothing to do with rule of law. It has nothing to do with the facts of the case. It has everything to do with tribal political affiliation, which, of course, is, the beginnings of the end when it comes to having an effective representative democracy.
Jair Bolsonaro's son put out this video saying, "I invite you to fight with us. Like, come to our house tonight." Shortly after midnight, Friday night, the police got an alert that Jair Bolsonaro's ankle bracelet had been tampered with. Bolsonaro pretty plainly appears to be trying to avoid serving the 27-year prison sentence he was recently given. At least it seems that way. He previously tried to arrange to flee to Argentina to try to get asylum in Argentina. He then went to the embassy of Hungary in Brazil and spent 2 nights in the embassy, apparently trying to escape from Brazil to Hungary, trying to get asylum there from Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Earlier this year, one of Bolsonaro's sons reportedly lobbied Trump himself that the United States should help his dad with this big problem he's got with this prosecution and this 27-year prison sentence he is due to start serving. Jair Bolsonaro's house is only about a 15-minute drive from the U.S. Embassy in Brazil. The Supreme Court justice who ordered Bolsonaro's arrest said Bolsonaro had to be arrested that night because he's so clearly a flight risk. Obviously, he's tried to flee to different countries, so he doesn't have to go to prison. And that Supreme Court justice went out of his way to point out just how close Bolsonaro lives to the U.S. Embassy. Was this really going to happen? He was going to cut off his ankle bracelet? And in the chaos of this fight demonstration that his son had called for at the last minute at his house, he was going to cut off the ankle bracelet and flee his home and race to the U.S. Embassy and take refuge in the U.S. Embassy and then somehow have, the U.S. government spirit him out of the country. Trump kind of blurted out that maybe that's what was going on.
Do you have any comment about Bolsonaro's arrest? A former Brazilian president. So I spoke last night to the gentleman you just referred to. And we're going to be meeting, I believe, in the very near future. Sir, are you willing about the president being arrested today? What? Any comment about the former Brazilian president being arrested today? No, I don't know anything about it. Are you willing? Mr. President, are you willing? I didn't hear. Is that what happened? Yes, there's a citation. That's too bad.
Oh, that's too bad. He was arrested. He says, yeah, I spoke to him last night, and we're going to be meeting, I believe, in the very near future. Were you planning on going to Brazil, Mr. President? Because this dude's on house arrest with an ankle monitor. He can't leave home. How are you going to be meeting with him in the very near future?
I shouldn't like him because he was very tough in negotiation, but he was also very honest. And I know the honest ones, and I know the crooked ones. They're treating President Bolsonaro very unfairly. He's a good man. I know him well. I negotiated with him.
Brazil has some very bad laws happening where they took a president and they put him in jail, or they're trying to jail him. And I happen to know the man, and I will tell you, I'm pretty good at people. I think he's an honest man. I think what they've done, this is really a political execution that they're trying to do with Bolsonaro. I think that's terrible. But they also treated us very badly as trading partners for many, many years. One of the worst countries on earth for that. They charged tremendous tariffs, and they made it very difficult to do anything. So now they're being charged 50% tariffs, and they're not happy, but that's the way it goes.
Bolsonaro was just found guilty by the Supreme Court. You've been very clear that you would apply sanctions. Are you thinking further sanctions to Brazil because of this Bolsonaro?
Well, I watched that trial. I know him pretty well. Foreign leader. I thought he was a good president of Brazil. And it's very surprising that could happen. That's very much like they tried to do with me, but they didn't get away with it at all. But I can only say this. I knew him as president of Brazil. He was a good man. And I don't see that happening.
We can speak to Gustavo Ribeiro. He's editor-in-chief of the Brazilian Report. Gustavo, thanks for joining us on BBC News. We've seen President Trump linking this trial to the need, as he sees it, to impose big tariffs on Brazil.
Yes, exactly. I would say that the international element is one. The Brazilian Supreme Court has thoroughly exposed the strategy of far-right movements that are employed worldwide. And like you said, Donald Trump has used this trial as one of the justifications for punishing Brazil with 50% tariffs on most of our exports, which have had a major impact on Brazilian trading data in August already. And he has targeted the Supreme Court justices. 8 of the 11 Supreme Court justices have had their U.S. visas canceled. And one of them, who is the justice who oversees this case, has been targeted by U.S. sanctions that pretty much exclude him from the global financial system. So it has taken a heavy toll on these justices to pursue this case.
Has there been any response yet from the current president?
No, and President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who was the victim of the coup d'etat that Bolsonaro has been found guilty of leading, he has tried his best not to comment on this because he does not want the optics to be meddling with this trial. He wants to show that the Brazilian branches of government are independent and that the Supreme Court is carrying this trial without any interference from the government.